These stocks have had a big, huge run. Why is now the time to overweight them? Wasn't it months ago?
Well, we did add to U.S. small cap back in December. We added to emerging markets in November and then again in December. Certainly a 30% run for U.S. small cap is a lot. We would not expect that to be repeated over the next 3 months. But small cap is a very clear early economic cycle play. And while valuations have climbed quite a bit in a very short amount of time, we do still think there's some room for earnings for U.S. small cap to grow into that. We also look at a tremendous amount of pent-up demand and liquidity, which should benefit U.S. small cap and also emerging markets. If you look at cash on corporate balance sheets that could be deployed into M&A, much of which would be targeting smaller companies in the small cap space. If you look at cash that is accumulated in terms of consumer savings on the order of about $1.5 trillion since the pandemic began, we expect that to shift into services, shift into companies that are smaller on the cap scale. So we've certainly seen quite a bit, but we think earnings can grow into the valuations for U.S. small cap.
I mean, I bring it up, small caps, the Russell's up 33% over the past 3 months, 12.5% over a month. It was an area that Jeffrey Gundlach raised, if you want to use the word concern about, if you're saying, OK, we are, in his words, record-breakingly high in terms of valuations. And he had a handful of charts. There were many different areas of the market he could have picked. But he did, Megyn, raise the issue of the Russell. It's now closed above its 200-day moving average for 119 straight sessions. And I should also say, a good part of the debate right now, too, is yes, there's pent-up demand, OK? But things in certain areas of the economy are weak, i.e. employment, right? You got nearly a million new jobless claims today. So that has to factor into this conversation, too, I think.
Yeah, and that is, so you make a great point. It doesn't feel like it by the stock market, but the economic numbers we're seeing are still very clearly early economic cycle. The ISM manufacturing coming in at 60 last month. If you look at other indicators like that, you tend to see U.S. small cap outperform large cap in environments like that. And it generally does not last for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. It generally is the beginning of a more lasting trend. So while you could look at the last month or 3 months of activity in really any area of the market and say that we are probably short-term overbought, short-term in a place of perhaps euphoria, if you're willing to look out 12 months or more, we still feel confident in U.S. small cap and equities more generally.
Yeah, you've got overweight now upgraded to financials, energy, materials, industrials, very much that cyclical and value theme. Wolf Research thinks that's going to continue. Savita over at Bank of America thinks it's going to continue. John Najarian, look, the last time, or at least one of the last times we had a conversation about the market, you had taken down a lot of your positions. So where are you now?
Mm-hmm. Still in the same spot, Scott. As you know, I pulled a lot of the stocks off and I put on call spreads instead because I could risk less and get a still participation to the upside while putting a bunch of money into cash and into Bitcoin. That trade has worked out really well, quite frankly, and I'm sticking with it. Now, as far as stocks in general, do I like them still? Yeah. I mean, I bought a lot, and I know Pete was on with you yesterday talking about Freeport and others. That stock is absolutely on fire. And obviously, President-elect Biden's speech tonight at 7:15 will probably give it a little more of a boost, and traders are looking for that. Mm-hmm. It's up 30% in a month. It's up, I think, 140% year over year. I mean, this is a phenomenal performance. And same with Cliffs, CLF, a lot of the big infrastructure sort of bills that are likely to come, not on this stimulus talk that he's going to talk about tonight, Scott, but the next bill. I think those continue to play out. And that's why if I'm adding in that area right now, as well as that